What if I told you this was going to be one of the biggest crowdfunding weeks of recent history, as well as potentially one of the biggest ones I can ever remember on crowdfunding since I've been covering it? The 4 biggest ones all have the potential, as I talked about earlier in the month, to break $1 million. I wouldn't be surprised. What is it going to do? How much is the money going to get split with all of these things going at the same time? How many are people going to be willing to back with their funds? Where are they going to split things? That's what's going to be the most interesting standpoint. What do you need to know about those big 4 plus a couple other smaller ones that aren't going to get lost in the wake, but definitely need some attention too? Let's do this. Not just your usual top 3. We're booming this week, all in a short time period. If you missed the crowdfunding run up from this past week, short and sweet from yesterday, only about 4 games covered, so check that out. 2 sleeper hits, Raising Robots, as well as Leviathan Wilds. Otherwise, let's go. So first up, 16th, 16, 16, 17, 18. 16th is going to be Sins of Hercules, Aeon Trespass Odyssey. If you missed it from this past week, Aeon Trespass Odyssey was my #1 game of 2022. It was. Sorry, not sorry. Better than KDM. Better than Kingdom Death Monster. It does it in a better way. It stands on the shoulders of its predecessor and just does every single aspect that Kingdom Death Monster did and does it better. Does it more engaging and allows it to even hit the table easier. I've played it mostly solo, so I can't really tell you, does it play as adequately multiplayer? Well, that's on you. Your mileage may vary, but if you have any interest in this, the big thing that you need to know is with this game, with this reprint, with the new stuff, how much do you want to get? It's looking more like Guards of Atlantis 2 in that sense of, do you need everything? No, you don't. Are you going to want everything after you get playing it in the first time? Yeah. Are you going to want to pay for everything though? That's more of the interesting thing. The all-in for the first time around was something around $300 as well. And that was for cycles 1, 2, and 3, which were in the original 1 wave. And then cycles 4 and 5 are still upcoming. Now, Sins of Hercules is going to be the new stuff that's going to be coming out as well. Now, instead of me trying to break it down for you all in one succinct short version of the video, let's actually go to the Kickstarter preview page, because not only are they giving you a pre-launch page, they're giving you the preview page. So I'm going to show you the prices right freaking now. So I'll tell you right now, be ready that you're not going to spit out anything from your mouth. You're not be drinking anything during this video, because when I get down to these prices, you're going to have a little bit of a conniption. And because that's going to be the biggest barrier. How much do you want this game? 9.3 on Board Game Geek. Yeah, it's going to, give you a ton of content. The new stuff right here, they give you the 3 different pledge levels that you're going to know. The 3 pledge levels, Hercules, this is the new stuff. This is $130, 150 hours, 3 regions, 3 story campaigns. That's a lot of content. Don't be fooled. That is a ton of content right there. The other one, this is Odysseus. This is everything from the previous one. The core pledge. It's $300. I know, it's $300. That's a big price upgrade, because that's only cycles 1, 2, and 3. The Mortal Pledge is $647. That gets you cycles 1, 2, 3, and Hercules, as well as 4 and 5. And so that's a big pill to swallow. That's more than what I thought. Do you want this? Now, for you KDM folks, mere poultry for KDM. But no, that's a ton of freaking money. That's the most money I've ever seen apart from Kingdom Death Monster on crowdfunding. You have to love this game. You have to know that this is going to be one of the best games you're going to play if you're looking for something like this. But with this comes, great money, great responsibility. Can you get it to the table? If you can't get it to the table, if you don't have dedicated time, if you don't have dedicated space, this is one that I'd say, if you want to build your own 3D printed insert, it's going to help the insert that's already going in there. But it's incomparable to anything else I've played. And, I don't like hyping or overhyping games. Do you need $600 worth of game, though? The answer is no. But are you worth getting one of these, like Hercules, and then seeing how you feel later on, right? Like Hercules as the Jaws of the Lion sort of vibe-esque, only still 4 times as much. And this is just tons and tons of stuff, running you through the heroes, running you through the Titans, running you through everything that you kind of need to know from an overview standpoint. But there's enough information out there on Board Game Geek already that if you have any interest in whatsoever, you should be looking at it. But your entry-level pledge might be the best value here. Might be. It is. This is a ton of money. I've actually seen... And I wonder, because I don't think the secondary market has seen this page yet, because when I looked at the secondary market, I saw someone selling a core of 1, 2, and 3 for $250 earlier this week. So they clearly don't know what the pledge of this is going to be costing, because otherwise I think the secondary market right now would be selling it for more than that, as weird as that sounds. So that is number one on the 16th, and that's insane. And you can see why. You know, I can see this maybe not having nearly as much success because of the price point, but we're going to see how much the hype has helped or not in combination with the price. The second one on the 16th, I just have to have a cool sense of what is this actually going to bring. Scorpion Mosque is bringing Dead Cells, the roguelike video game, over to the tabletop. And I'm really excited by this. I really like the roguelike style games. You die, you mutate, you go again. You die, you mutate, you get stronger, you go again. Self-contained scenarios, shorter gameplay length of like 45 minutes. That's what they're going for. I actually reached out to them. I actually got a response from their PR team, and they said, hey, sorry, we don't have any copies actually over in North America right now. And so we'll see. I don't think there's going to be a ton of information. There's 2 videos over on Board Game Geek right now that are in French, but I want to see what you can do with this. I hope it's as good as Slay the Spire looks. If it is, this one's going to be another strong one that I have a lot of interest in. I have no clue the price point, though. They have literally not had any real information be put out there. And maybe there's a little bit of a moratorium or a deadline on when you can put information out, and maybe we'll see it all pop up on Monday or Tuesday. But I don't know. I love the idea of these bosses. They've been slowly revealing the characters that you're familiar with from the video game over on the Board Game Geek forums. I mean, there's a little bit of interaction there. I think they've revealed about like 3 or 4 of the heroes and 3 or 4 of the bosses. But how are you going to take a solo style game again and make it into a multiplayer game situation just like Slay the Spire did? Is it going to work? Is it going to have too much minutia? Is it going to have too much upkeep? That's the problem with the video games. I mean, not like Aeon Trespass Odyssey has any less upkeep and tokens, but you know what you're getting into there, and there's not a video game necessarily exact equivalent, whereas this you have direct comparisons, whether it's Slay the Spire or Dead Cells, video game, tabletop, video game, tabletop. Elder Scrolls, video game, tabletop. What do you want? What are you going to get out of it? And that's going to be the interesting question. What's the price point going to be? What's the incentive to back it on crowdfunding? That was the thing about Slay the Spire. There really wasn't anything exclusive on Slay the Spire, so you're kind of taking I'm going to get it sooner. Is it going to be more or less at retail? I don't really know. You know what? But you back it and you kind of go from there. Next up, this is the other one that Monster Hunter World Iceborne. This is one of the few games probably from the last year or two, especially anything more than like $50, that I sort of have some pseudo regrets on not backing, right? Like Monster Hunter World. And the question that with this one is going to bring is, as they've said, this isn't really a 2.0 version. They want to make it very clear that this is not this is better than the previous one. Don't get the previous one, get this one, right? Like, and that's a temptation, like we're seeing right now currently with Clank Legacy 2, right? Direwolf is like, no, this isn't just better. It's adjacent. It's slightly step up, but it's not necessarily gonna make you not want to buy the previous one, right? Because you can't disincentivize people to not buy your stuff, because otherwise you're basically shooting yourself in the foot, right? And so what is this going to entail? What is the exclusivity going to look like? We saw alternative sculpts as the main one last time, with some exclusive, little expansions, not little, but bigger expansions of what was going to be available and what wasn't. But Steamforge has a tendency to sell some of those on their web shop. They don't do wide retail, hardly at all. And it looks cool. I like the Iceborne better than I like the original. And I think with this, just like we've seen with like the Chip Theory games, the second time they do this iteration, whatever it may be, Too Many Bones, Hoplomachus, Burn Cycle, the second time around, they smooth some of those corners out. They make some of those rough edges better and more palatable. I think this is going to do the same. Monster Hunter is being very well received. I have not seen the gripes that went with some of the other ones, right? I will make the argument that Steamforge has been improving almost every single time. This one appears to be better received than Bard Song, better received than Dark Souls, better received than a couple of their other IP ones before that. So if it just kind of continues slowly, I mean, everyone always harks and circles back to Dark Souls, but they're a long way out from that one. And you may not like the model, you may not like the actual models, but from a gameplay hunting down style of things, it's really appealing. And, as someone who's still waiting for Primal, eagerly, I may add, but, as we saw with the previous campaigns, Primal versus Monster Hunter, there were enough significant differences in the actual combat, the actual mechanistic approach to each game that you could equally have both side to side in your collection and not have one be a complete iteration copy of the other. Now, or do you want 2 of those? That's more of a better question. Do you want both of these? Yeah, I'll leave that up to you. Your mileage may vary. It's just like KDM versus Aeon Trespass Odyssey right now. Like, do you need both? Do you want both? Yeah, you could have both in your collection. They're both going to have a different aesthetic vibe. They're both going to have a little bit overarching worldview difference. But ultimately, you probably could choose one and ultimately miss out on the other one completely and not really feel like you're that lacking. And that's what that raises the question of it for me. But this is one that, again, that, I mean, wow, right? 3 so far. The other one, Apex Legends, more of a MOBA-esque style online League of Legends-esque game where you're basically taking shooters of teams of 3 and, trying to knock the other team out. But this one's different. They're going a completely different route with this one, and they're going with more of a, measure and move skirmish style game, which I think is very interesting. I think it's more appropriate, to be very frank, than any other format, because I think we're going to see a very different format with the other more stylish first-person shooter when Call of Duty comes to crowdfunding. But is this going to lend itself to the wide masses as well with so many other games like this, right? Like, we're seeing some of the other bigger IPs, put these games out in the retail market right now, right? So why would I get this on crowdfunding? The video game scene isn't as big as, say, maybe the Star Wars scene, Star Wars Legion, anybody? Or even Marvel Crisis Protocol, the Marvel scene, much bigger. The Warhammers. So those are the ones you're going up against. Now, these tend not to have nearly any trouble funding on crowdfunding because people are going to look at it just from I like that video game character. I like miniatures. I'm going to get it for both of those and paint them. So I think you're going to see a fair amount of that. But how much crossover, and that's really the key with this one, especially of all 3 of them, how much crossover will you see from the actual video game side of this? We know it's going to come with Monster Hunter World. We saw it with the first one. This is just going to be better, so I'm going to expect to see more, unless it goes more of the Lucky Duck route with their previous tower defense one, which I'm completely blanking on the name of at this time, but where the second version was clearly a better iteration, but it had the game found effect where it didn't get the notoriety. And so I think you're seeing these ones still stay for the most part on Kickstarter because it has more of a broad mass appeal. And I think there's something to be said of that, especially with the video game side of things now. But we'll see what Apex Legends does. They've made it very clear that the publisher has that they're taking like 13 or so of the heroes that you're familiar with and putting them out there in the original. So what else are they doing? How many are they going to do? What is the expansions going to look like? Is it going to be like the Street Fighter miniature game where all of a sudden there's 5 different expansion packs from like 5 different iterations or seasons? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. But that's also just sort of lurking. And are these games going to just steal money from each other and prevent any of them from really, peaking as high as they could have had a couple of these launched in different weeks, even back to back to back? So that's going to be my main question. Now, a couple other newsworthy notes in the other games. Table Golf Association. I've got a review copy here. I'm going to have a video coming out of this. I have the wooden version. They're going to be coming back to crowdfunding as well on the 16th, and this is going to be a cardboard version of it. I have some mixed feelings about that because I think the wooden version is ultimately going to be a little bit better, but the price point for this game is going to be a lot higher as well with the wooden version. So it sort of reminds me a little bit of Foundations of Rome, where you get the cardboard version. Yeah, it's not going to be quite as aesthetically pleasing, but if it works functionally the same, you're going to save yourself a ton of money. The other one is Evolution Another World, which I've got sitting around here somewhere as well. Another in the Evolution style of games, but that's going to be a much lighter family style game. Well, you've got a few modular expansions or modular components that you can add mechanisms to the base game that makes it a little bit more than just a light style family game, which is what it is at the core, and make it actually a little bit more of a broader, appealing, slight filler game in that sense. And, it's aesthetically pleasing and it's mechanically pleasing. Is it going to raise, buku hundreds of thousands of dollars? No. Should it have any trouble funding? Absolutely not. Neither of these will, because they're solid games. But, they're going to be also overshadowed by the first 4. And, that's also why I want to give them a quick shout out too. But I'm going to be covering both of those on Tuesday when they launch in addition. The other one that just kind of got secretly announced over on Board Game Geek and one of the pre-launch crowdfunding geek lists was the next detective series, Detective City of Angels, if you're familiar with that case-based game as sort of a detective Sherlock Holmes-esque whodunit. The Saints and Sinners expansion from Van Ryder is actually going to go live this week as well. And so that's another one that could it raise a couple $100,000? Yeah, I think people really look at that as the preeminent whodunit game. So, it's got over on GameFound though, as opposed to most of these others I think are launching on Kickstarter. What is it going to have? What is it going to entail? I mean, it was a Game of the Year nominee. Shut Up and Sit Down loved it. And that's the main quote that they're going with over on the GameFound page when I glanced at it just while talking about it right now. So, you're going to have a lot of big quotes from a lot of big people on a lot of these pages. I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing a lot of big names thrown around And, you know, again, the objective of me covering this stuff is not go buy this. My objective is always find the freaking one that's right for you, and I will help you find whatever that one is that is the right one for you with your own tastes taken into consideration. That's the point of my channel, right? That's why I'm the size I am. And I love it. So that's where things are at this week. That's what you need to know. Those are the boom hits. You know, we're going to have a raucous time next week running through these crowdfunding campaigns, analyzing price levels, pledges, why get them, where are things at after 4 or 5 days in, and then looking back towards the end of those campaigns as well, reviewing them and seeing where things end up. So freaking awesome, fantastic. I love this. Massive week. I wasn't kidding about that. So also sometime this week, I'll hopefully have my Endeavor Deep Sea review out in addition. So again, don't sleep on that one. No qualms about saying it's going to be a top 10 game of 2024 for a lot of people. So that's all I got. Trying to play some games this weekend. I got a couple other reviews I got to get started and, you know, going. I just got my copy of Too Many Bones Unbreakable as well. You know, if you are familiar with my prior work on the channel, I was sort of regretting backing that at this point, but it's a standalone expansion, and I decided I'm going to crack it open. I'm going to bust this sucker out, see how I feel about it, see if this one can change my mind about my feelings compared to the others. Will it? I have no idea. But you should tune in if you're not already, because I'll cover it now. So we'll see. Will it actually stay in my collection? Great question. I have no idea. It's beautiful to look at, though. So that's all I got. Stay classy. Have a great freaking fantastic day. Hopefully you get more stuff played than I do this weekend. Peace out. Thanks for subscribing and tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Help me go viral. I'm still trying to go viral. Like, I still cannot get any video to go viral whatsoever. So tell your friends or post links out elsewhere, or tell them Liege sent you when you go to these pages. That would probably be the most entertaining thing, right? Like, tell these campaigns, like, Liege Games sent you. Hey, Chris from Liege Games talked about your game and sent you. Like, that is the stuff that helps me the most. Well, I don't really know. I don't know if people pay attention to that anyway. Anyway, I'm done. Ramble over. Peace out.